let's first talk about the most important topic for the first 10 minutes of today's podcast, Howard Stern.
Oh, that's number one.
So the debate was a few months ago. Joe Rogan got a $100 million contract from Spotify, okay? The number's over a 4-year period. Some are saying it's more than that. Some are saying it's not $100 million over 4 years. Some close friends are saying we know the number. It's much more than $100 million. I would say his contract needed to be around $250 million. That's what I would say over 4 years. 50 a year. I think Joe's a 50-a-year guy. No question about it. But here's what just happened. Howard Stern, okay, who's on Sirius XM radio, okay? If you've ever listened to his show and said to yourself, gee, I know Howard Stern's making $90 million a year, but man, I think he's underpaid. Some other people agree. His bosses think he's underpaid. Bloomberg.com just reported that Sirius XM Holdings is working on a contract that would give Stern, you ready for this, $120 million salary per year. Let me say this one more time. $120 million year salary. Not $120 million contract. Not $120 million over 5 years. Not $120 million over 3 years. $120 million per year at the age of 71. The moment they announced this, Sirius stock climbed $5.95. 7% it increased the moment the announcement was made that he's getting that kind of a raise. So is it worth it or not, $120 million a year, Tom?
Easy answer. Very, very easy answer. One word answer. No. He is not worth it.
Not worth it.
Not worth it. Was he? Yeah. Probably more in the past.
Wow.
2005, 2006, when he came over to Sirius XM and built it and made it into what it is, yes. And here's why I say no. Okay, he was making 90. Now, I'm a fan of Howard. Yeah. I like Howard. He's tailing off, okay? He's not into it as much as he was. The show is suffering, in my opinion. And here's the other thing, why it's not worth it. He's become political. And that means you are going to alienate half your audience. And I guarantee you there will be people canceling their subscription to Sirius XM because of his support, his blinding support for Biden, his hatred now for Trump. It's gotten over the top. And
I thought him and Trump were friends for a while.
Used to be.
Obviously today they're not.
Right, and they used to be, but he's using that as an excuse now that he doesn't support him. And look, this is a subscription-based model.
Yeah.
Okay? People can make the decision with their credit card. And now, look, these guys aren't idiots at Sirius XM. They know what they're doing. The stock went up because I think they were so afraid that he wasn't. He hangs them. You know, he's got them by the short hairs all the time because he's messing with them. Whether he's going to re-sign another 5-year deal, but I do not believe it's going to be worth it for 5 more years at $120 a year.
$600 million contract
because of his political stances now.
Dude, the guy's currently making $90 million a year. Are you freaking kidding me?
Yeah.
So he's due a raise, inflation, $120 million. Are you kidding me? Even if he meets in the middle between 90 and 120 and settles on $105 million a year.
Howard doesn't settle.
Okay.
He won't settle on anything on that deal.
Howard Stern comes again. His latest book that just came out, I think, a year ago.
Yeah.
The thing with Howard Stern, he's the OG in this. He is what you wrote, the king of all media and income. Was that like a pun?
Yeah.
Okay, it was good. King of all media, man. He started this thing. There'd be no Joe Rogan. There'd be no PBD podcast. There'd be no podcast if it were not for Howard Stern. He jumped ship from radio, 12, 15 years ago to Sirius XM. Homie makes $90 million a year. Here's the thing about Howard Stern. Whatever guest he wants, he gets. You want Trump on? He gets Trump. You want Hillary Clinton on? You get Hillary Clinton. You want musical acts? He gets musical acts. You want the biggest stars in the world? They come on Howard Stern, first and foremost. Now, I think it's fair to say, Joe Rogan's coming for his crown, right? I mean, as far as viewership, as far as credibility, as far as getting guests. But Howard Stern's the OG. So is he worth $90 million? Obviously, they're paying him that. Is he worth $120 million? Potentially. The guy's going to get $100 million, no doubt. And he's 65. He'll be 71 at the end of this contract, right? The guy's still got some gas left in his tank. I don't think he's done whatsoever. You got Trump, who's 72, 73.
74.
74?
73 or 74.
Trump's 74.
Yeah.
Biden's 104.
Yeah.
Stern still
looks good. He doesn't look 104. He looks like 85. You know, he looks
minimum 85.
How about that shot from behind of Biden where he's bald? They hide that very, very well, but he is flat out bald on the backside of his head. It looks pretty rough.
What are you saying about bald people,
I'm
bro?
just saying that I didn't
Just because you
expect
got a
that
good
from-
head of hair at
I thought
50-something,
Biden was more
don't hate
vibrant,
it.
but when you look at him from behind, man, he is bald.
Don't look at him from behind. Look at him straight in the eye, dead in the eye.
So you're saying he's worth it. You're saying
I'm saying he's the king of
Here's
all
what I'm
media.
saying. I'm saying it's not worth it to Sirius XM. I say they're going to have a ton of cancellations.
So let me
because of
ask
it.
you this: if they don't go after him, who do they go get at that level? Put
Nobody.
some names.
There is
See,
no
that's
other
why
name
you
at that
can't.
level.
You know how
There's
it
no
is?
other name.
You ever watch? Remember when they changed the contracts a couple of years ago? Mike Connolly got a $160 million contract for 4 years. You're like,
Mike
who?
Conley?
Yeah.
Who's getting 164? What are you paying this guy
Yeah.
160? And the Lakers signed a massive deal with Lua Deng. Do you remember
Lua
that?
Deng,
But
yeah.
they're still paying the price
Yeah,
for.
they're still paying the price. I'm like, what are you guys doing?
I know, it was
What
so
is this
stupid.
all about with this contract? But sometimes when the talent
Yeah.
pool isn't big, you got to pick up or else somebody else is going to pick up. Because here's the numbers. If you look at Sirius XM stock, hi, can you pull up Sirius XM stock? Just look at Sirius XM stock in the last 12 years, okay? If you look at Sirius XM stock, right there, go max. Yeah, let's just say it goes, look at that, at 100. Go a little bit more to the left. It's 58, 60, go one more, 60, 56 bucks.
Wow.
And now it's gone down, down. Keep going to the right, all the way to the right, all the way to the right. Look at that. You know, they're trying to barely make it together. Like yesterday, Z takes my car, and she says, Pat, I noticed your radio stations in your car weren't fixed, so I fixed them, and I put some radio stations for you to listen to. Kai starts laughing over there, and he's laughing, and she's not paying attention to Kai. I said, Z, I don't know if you know or not. I don't listen to anything in the car. She says, but you got Sirius XM. I said, I honestly didn't even know I had Sirius XM. But I got to tell you, 5-10 years ago, when cars would say, it comes with Sirius XM, you know, you're like, oh my gosh, I got Sirius XM. Today, it's a whole different story. People are tuning into a podcast. People are listening to something else. This is the other part I will say about this thing here. I will say, the interview that he recently did with Hillary Clinton, you know what everybody said? He got her to talk about stuff. I think even you said it like a month ago.
It was phenomenal.
Yeah, he got her to talk about stuff that maybe no one's ever talked about before. Maybe Howard's about to go on the second run, and he's pitched him behind closed doors saying, there's the one thing I've never touched. It's politics. I think I can get things out of people that others can't. I don't know. I know Howard's a sales guy. If you know the guy's story, the guy's a very good sales guy.
I'll tell you what. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
And there's no way someone's giving a guy $120 million without thinking in the back end that this guy's going to deliver. So they're banking on him. 2, there's not a lot of talent right now that's at that level. No. 3, Rogan just signed with Spotify. The biggest fear, the best thing that happened to Howard Stern, believe it or not, is the fact that Spotify said they're getting Rogan. And outside of that, Sirius XM is sitting behind closed doors. You know what they're worried about? Who just announced 4 weeks ago they're going in the podcast game? Who just announced?
Oh,
the
Amazon.
behemoth.
Amazon.
Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
A $2 trillion company said we're going into podcasts. So Sirius XM is
pay
sitting
it.
there saying,
Yeah.
dude, they'll pay this guy $120 million. That's nothing for them. So there's a lot of things behind closed doors that you don't know about where Howard may be coming up saying, look, I got Amazon came knocking, man, and I'm taking the call. I'm going to have a meeting with them.
Yeah.
Who? Amazon? So
you know what else I think too? If you listen to Howard, and like I said, I'm a fan of Howard. I just think he's lost a step on his game. I really do.
What do you mean by lost a step?
He's not as good as he used to be. His interviewing abilities are phenomenal. How often does he do big interviews? It's not that who's coming in studio with COVID. No one's coming in there anymore. Howard's scared as hell anyway. He's doing the show from the Hamptons. A couple things. Howard's a loyal guy. He protects his guys. And those guys don't have careers without him, right? The happiest people are JD, Baba Booey, Robin's okay on her own, but I think he does that to keep those guys relevant, at least a little fraction of it. He really, they help build him. By the way, trivia question, who replaced Howard Stern when he left terrestrial radio in 2005? Who replaced him? David Lee Roth. Can you freaking believe that? It lasted about 2 months. He came on so cocky, so arrogant, so out of touch. I think it lasted 2 or 3. I mean, he did not appreciate Howard. He didn't respect him, and he was blasted out of there almost immediately.
Yeah,
Well, rest in
that
peace,
style doesn't work. You can't come in and doing things like that. That doesn't
Rest in
work.
peace, Eddie Van Halen. Speaking of David Lee
Yeah,
Roth,
I
right?
mean, I was in a meeting with the investors when Ian announced that Eddie Van Halen died at 65 years old, and Mario's a big fan, and I think everybody's listened to his music. Obviously, when you got somebody like that with that kind of talent coming up. One time, he told us a story about one time. Is it Black Sabbath? Who was part of Black Sabbath?
Let's see.
Let's get Mario in here.
Who's
Alice Cooper?
No, it's not Cooper. Who's part of Black Sabbath leader? So one time they're doing a concert, and they said, they said Van Halen is opening up. And he comes up to open up. He crushed it better than the main show. And from that point on, he left. Who's the guy? Yeah, Ozzy Osbourne left saying, the hell with you guys. He left and started something else. He said, because if these guys got their stuff together like this.
Right.
Anyways, it's a rest in peace, Eddie Van Halen.
When's the last time you watched Howard Stern?
I don't watch
Or
Howard
listened?
Stern. I don't watch. I just know his story.
So you don't watch him at all?
I'm not a Howard Stern guy.
And you
I'll
from time to time?
well, you know what? He's got 3 channels, so you can get the recap. So sometimes I'll do that every once in a while. But
let me tell you, I don't
it's an
watch all that
interview, I'll
often.
listen.
I don't watch all that often, but I'll tell you what is sick that I have watched episode after episode. Just kind of went on a binge. He has top musical acts show up in the studio, or at least has before COVID, and jam out. Counting Crows, Katy Perry, just the list goes on and on. Those are some of the episodes I watch. But musical acts show up, sing their songs, a cappella, rock out, have a band there. It's pretty freaking dope.
Listen, I'm telling you, I'm for paying him. You don't pay him. The market's going to pay him. Whether you like him or not, market's going to pay this guy. The whole Mike Connolly story.
Yeah.
You don't want to pay me? No problem. There's only 300 NBA players out there. 280 of them are signed. 20 of them are looking for a contract. You're dealing with 20. You're going to pull people from college for Puerto Rico? I'm in the top 20 players that are available to buy. You want to buy me? Come pay me. The current contracts are 160. So he got paid. By the way, you know what Howard Stern just did? Let me tell you what Howard Stern just did. Howard Stern just made Joe Rogan a billionaire. I'm going to say this one more time. Joe Rogan is officially a billionaire. And he doesn't
Billionaire.
know. 5 years he's got to wait. It's on its way.
Yeah.
In 5 years, he's going to get a $200 million a year contract. In 5 years. In 5 years.
Level up the playing field.
No, this is all it meant, dude. When Steve Ballmer bought the Clippers, Michael Jordan became a billionaire.
Sure.
When Steve Ballmer bought the Clippers,
Increased the value of
an
everybody
organization
else.
that was worth nothing. San Diego Clippers is when Donald Sterling bought him, and he was a commercial real estate guy, and he
For
could
like $10
care
million
less
or
about the
something,
NBA.
right.
Could care less about the NBA. Ballmer paid 2.2. Every NBA owner said, "Thank you, Ballmer. You officially made us richer." Right? Howard Stern officially made a lot of people rich.
That's a
for
good
him.
point.
So, hey, more power to all the podcasters.
Let me
out
give
there.
you a Mike Conley analogy that will not.
Mike Connolly, get his name
Mike
right.
Conley, yeah. Memphis Grizzlies. He just
he's-
got traded to Utah. But here's what's going to happen with talent like this, talent like Joe Rogan.
Yeah.
Mike Conley signs a 5-year, $150 million contract, whatever it was, with the Memphis Grizzlies. First 2-3 years, cool, he's doing great. He's an all-star. And then what happens to a lot of these contracts?
Done.
They fall off.
Yeah.
They get traded. He ends up in Utah. It doesn't do as well. All of a sudden, you're paying 30-something million for a guy who's a questionable starter.
Yeah.
Respect to Mike Conley, though. That's not going to happen with talent like this.
No.
Like, he's not going to lose his mind or lose his gas in the tank or lose his wheels 3-4 years in.
He's going to go for a while.
He's going to go for a while.
Look, in reality, much love to Howard Stern for getting his money. I respect him. If you can get your money, go get it. You got it. Good for you. That's the game of capitalism.
Yeah.
I respect anybody that can negotiate behind closed doors and get paid what they get paid in this kind of dollars. Yeah. You bring value where the market's willing to pay this kind of money, more power to you. More
Do you think he gets the $120 million? Bottom line.
I don't know if he does or not. All I'm saying is the bench isn't deep. The market, a free agent, isn't big at this level.
No, he's getting 120.
You
Especially
think
now
he's going to get it?
Of course he's going to get
You're
it.
just saying he's not worth it.
No, I was saying I don't think it's ultimately going to be worth it to Sirius XM, but he's going to get the $120 because it's already been talked about. He's not settling for a penny
Buddy,
less
check
now.
this out. Look, you know how hard it is to keep people's attention. People think it's an easy game. So Howard Stern's been on radio for how long? I mean,
40 years.
40 years, okay? He's replaced by who? David Lee Roth. How long did Trump run Apprentice? 15 years. Who was he replaced by? A very big personality.
Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Arnold Schwarzenegger. He couldn't do Apprentice.
Yeah.
It's not the easiest job to keep people's attention, even with a name like Arnold.
Right.
Movie star.
How long did Arnold
Mr.
last?
Olympia. Barely a year.
Yeah, and he was
gone.
horrible.
It was
and part of the
terrible,
problem is that those guys have such confidence and their egos are so big they think they can step right in, take it another direction, make it even better, and it doesn't because that show was Trump, and no one can replace Howard.
It's not how it works. You got to do more than that when you're talking about this.